The refugee influx began with the partition of India in 1947, and by the start of 2010, the country had hosted nearly 450,000 refugees from within and outside the region. India is not a signatory to the 1951 Refugee Conference nor its 1967 Protocol on the Repute of Refugees. Given that no refugee law exists in India, there is no uniformity in the treatment of refugees in the country. However, refugee law has become inextricably linked with the larger question of human rights and humanitarian law, as well as other fields of international law such as state responsibility and peace maintenance. So, like in this regard, India treats all foreigners, whether illegal immigrants, refugee seeker, or those overstaying permits under Foreigner Act of 1946. Under Section 3, the central government is empowered to detect, detain and deport illegal foreigners, nationals. So, Passport Act 1920. Under Section 5, authorities can remove an illegal foreigners by force under Article 258(1) of the Constitution of India. So, Registration of Foreigners Act of 1939, under this, there is a mandatory requirement under which all foreigners, nationals, overseas citizens of visiting India on a long-term visa, more than 180 days, is required to register themselves with a registration officer within 14 days of arriving in India. So, Citizenship Act 1955, it's provided provision for renunciation or termination of deprivation of citizenship. Like 2019 CS seeks to provide citizenship only to Hindu, Christian, Jain, Parsi, Sikh and Buddhist immigrants persecuted in Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan. So, like in this regard, the Constitution of India also respect the life, liberty and dignity of human beings. The Supreme Court in the National Human Rights Commission versus the state of Arunachal Pradesh held that while all rights are available to citizens, persons including foreigners, foreign citizens are entitled to the right to equality and the right to life. Since its independence, India has accepted a various group of refugees from neighboring countries, including partition refugees from Pakistan in 1947. So, Tibetan refugees that arrived in 1959, Chamka and Hazong from present-day Bangladesh in early 1960, other Bangladesh refugee in 1965 and 1971, Sri Lankan Tamil refugee from the 1980s, most recently Rohingya refugee from Myanmar 2022. So, like refugees are people outside their countries of origin who are in need of international protection because of a serious threat to their life, like physical integrity or freedom in their country of origin as a result of persecution, armed conflict, violence or a serious public disorder. So migrants leave their country because they want to work, study or join a family. There are well defined and specific grounds which have to be satisfied before a person can qualify to be a refugee. There is no internationally accepted legal definition of a migrant. So, like issue with according to the 1951 Convention, refugees are defined as the people who have been deprived of their civil and political rights, but not their economic rights. If the violation of economic right were it to be included at the definition of a refugee, it would clearly pose a major burden on the developed world. So, like India feels the 1951 Convention is mostly incorporated and does not bother about the South Asian countries. Also, it will also affect India's safety and home laws. So, like refugees are not given much importance in society. They are not treated well by the local resident, and they develop a sense of fear and insecurity. They are often exploited physically and emotionally by the local resident only on the ground, not being citizen of the same soil. So, like they face the problem of getting basic life necessities such as food, shelter and employment. They are forced to work at low wages with no high status of privileges. So, like India ad hoc administrative policy on refugee has created an atmosphere of confusion. So lack of awareness and misinformation cause insecurity and exclusiveness among the refugee communities. So time consuming process of identification. United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee issues a refugee card through the refugee status determination process, but this process is time consuming and can take up to 20 months for evaluation. Like over the past few decades, many people from neighboring countries have illegally immigrated to India, not because of state persecution, but to take advantage of better economic opportunities. For instance, 98% of all Mexican immigrants reside in the United States, which are more than, I think, 10.9 million. It is true that much of the debate in the India is about illegal immigrants, not refugees. But the two categories tend to get grouped together. Equitable and effective, registration process. So it's for determining status should be made more equitable and effective while enhancing or maintaining standards in the registration and identification. Essential services and requirements should be made available. So these include improving access to education, bolstering a program for those with special need, and maintaining health facilities. So ensuring community participation through awareness program in providing shelter to refugees, and improving their reliance capacity by providing them temporary livelihood. Protection of women and child refugees from violence and harassment by authorities or local resident in consonance with fundamental duty enshrined in our constitution. Article 51AE enjoins upon every citizen of renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. A person became a refugee because of circumstances which are beyond that person's control. If he or she flees from human rights violation, social, economic, and political insecurity, all leading to fear of persecution. So in this instance, we should aim for providing inclusivity and emotional support in addition to financial support. That was the important discussion of refugee crisis. Thanks for watching.